Hey, what's up guys, this is Liam or Weagle on your Overwatch, back with a new video. Today, we actually have a bit of a hybrid video for you, and it will make more sense as we go along. But first things first, this head has showed up on Anubis, and a lot of people have been throwing around speculation about it for the last week or so. On the Temple of Anubis market section, the head has been appearing in certain highlight intros for certain characters, and actually replaces some of the Echo-like character models that are in the corners as well. After doing a lot of digging into this, we actually discovered that this character model has been in the game since the closed beta. Now, it's obviously the same character that we see in the original concept art on the right-hand side. There's no debate about that whatsoever, but our thought is, if this is the same model that was in the game years ago, yes, they're probably making it at some point, but this hasn't changed at all. And generally when Blizzard do these big teases for heroes, it's normally a lot more polished than this. Now, I don't know if you guys remember some stupid YouTubers talking about a wheelchair that was never actually changed, but I do feel like this is a similar situation to that. And even though this hero could be coming in the future, I don't necessarily think that these assets making it into a highlight intro prove that theory. I would love it to be true. Stuff's moved around in these. I think more than likely they're messing around with Anubis, and maybe that will be the next Archives event. Let me know what you guys think to any of this down below, but this doesn't change the fact that this hero is probably coming at some point in some variation, and we'd like to talk about the abilities we feel like a character like this would have, especially one that's probably going to be some kind of a tank, since the game is lacking that right now, and we have some abilities and concepts and stuff like we always do for you guys to discuss. And as always, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. Do remember guys that not all of this stuff is necessarily going to just be flat out balanced, just some new cool stuff we think could make it into the game. So this character is clearly a badass. We're thinking cyborg or some kind of human omnic hybrid. This character may be evil as well, but we want to see another main tank in the game, or at least some kind of main tank hybrid, because right now there's only a few of them, and there is actually a reason for that, and that's just because they're really hard to make. There's actually three main tanks we have in the game. We've got Reinhardt, Orisa, and Winston, and if you think about the kind of shields that they have as well, we have a static big shield with high uptime, which is Orisa's. We have a big shield that you can move, which is Reinhardt's, but the downfall to that is that you can't attack when the shield's up, and of course you have a fast character with a static shield, so you can dive in with Winston, but then the shield is kept in place, and this is of course for balance reasons. But for this character, we're thinking, why couldn't we have someone that could actually move their shield but also do some cool things at the same time? So what about something like Symmetra's old projected barrier, a shield that moves, slightly bigger than Symmetra's was, and maybe doesn't go as fast. But if this character threw out a shield, we feel that they would have to have the ability to be able to recall the shield in order to throw it out in a different direction. That was a big problem with Symmetra's, is that you threw it and that was it. It was just going there forever. If you could recall the shield, we think being able to throw it back in a different direction and adjust it, of course on some kind of cooldown, would be really cool for the game, and it would allow this character also to keep moving forwards. A shield like this we feel would probably have something around 800 health, and it would be very easy to destroy, but we'll get into why we could balance that in just a second. Now, most tanks have an attrition damage sort of weapon, like Orisa just shoots forever, D.Va shoots forever, but they don't necessarily do insane damage unless you get the perfect range and someone's standing still or something. We feel like this tank could actually have a different kind of way of rolling out the weapon in conjunction with the abilities that he has. What if this guy shot only 30 bullets at a slower rate of fire, but there was a different way to do more damage than doing headshots? And this comes in conjunction with the E ability, which we would compare a little bit similar to what you would see in Titanfall, where you could stop gunfire coming towards you, and in Titanfall you would turn that damage away and throw it back out at an enemy. But we're thinking for this character, he absorbs up to 500 of that damage at one time. That number could change, of course, in a bit of a cone out in front of him, similar to Defense Matrix, but he doesn't eat all the damage. It is maximum, and that charges that main gun that we're talking about. So what you would be able to do is throw forward your main shield and eat a little bit of damage through the shield to charge yourself, in order to put out some damage. You would of course have to roll these abilities properly so that you manage to eat the right amount of damage and didn't break your shield, because we actually want to have this character have a negative passive, which isn't something that we currently have in the game. Right now we've just called it 404 damage not found, but we want to have it so that if this character's shield is broken before he recalls it, it resets the damage that he does with his main gun. This of course would then bring a lot of skill to the character, because if you're not rolling out that shield and mini defense matrix, let's call it, properly, you will lose all of your momentum in your damage. And speaking of momentum, we also want the shift ability to also be some kind of momentum ability, and we're thinking some kind of a shoulder charge, if you imagine something like Bob does when you throw him out as Ash. But this character would stand in position, charge up the shoulder charge, and the longer you charge it for, the further you would go and the more damage it would do. But of course this would be a very obvious ability, so that's how you would balance that as well, and you would use it at a time where maybe your shield's up, you've burned through your other abilities, and it's time to finally get stuck in and do some damage. We feel like a charge could be really good and it wouldn't have stun, don't worry. Something like a Brigitte shield bash if it was just a tap of the shift ability, but nearer a Reinhardt charge if you was able to hold it and charge at them. But remember, when you do that as Rein as well, it's very easy to be melted. This actually brings us to the ultimate, and again a little bit of a different concept to what we usually see. We would like to see this character have an ultimate that only applies to themselves, and it's a similar to nano boosting yourself, but also a little bit different and unique to this character, because what it will do is overcharge the current abilities that this character would have. Now this of course could vary, but for example, it would double the degree of angle that the absorption gauntlet would do. This absorption gauntlet would also be able to absorb infinite damage while in the ultimate, but of course the damage you could do would have to be capped. When you want to use your shoulder charge when you've used your ultimate, it of course charges up quicker, but it won't do a lot more damage. It just powers up that ability to be more efficient, and that's how this ultimate would work. It would affect all of the abilities in a different, unique way and make them more usable and effectively put out more damage and more efficiency, but it also wouldn't be super OP. It would be a defensive tank ultimate, which we don't really have too much of in the game, and I think it could be really interesting. So that's our concept for this character that everyone's been going absolutely insane about. We think that in isolation all of these abilities are actually really good, but of course we're also not professional balancers when it comes to heroes. I think being able to negate damage and then use what you've gained to throw back at someone is something that could actually be in Overwatch sometime soon. I hope Blizzard builds something like that into it. It's a little bit like Deflect, but done in a different way, and I think that that could be really awesome. So guys, let us know what you think to any of this stuff in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on what you think to this magical head that's floating around in Anubis, and also what you think to this hero's concept. And as always, you can tweet at us your concepts at YourOverwatchYT on Twitter, and also don't forget to drop a follow on us over there as well. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get notified when our videos go live. Be sure to have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.